Hello, I'm Rebecca Brockton and welcome to the Meet Magento UK YouTube channel. Today I'm joined by Skip Fidura, Client Services Director at Dotmailer, who are one of our silver sponsors. Can you tell me a little bit about Dotmailer?
Yeah, so Dotmailer is the UK's largest omni-channel marketing automation platform.
Excellent. And what is it that you do there?
I am the strategy and insight director. So I spend a large part of my life doing stuff like this, talking to cool folks like you, and the other half of my life working with clients, helping them build their omni-channel marketing strategies.
And can you tell me a little bit about the ethos of Dotmailer?
I can, actually. The ethos of Dotmailer is an interesting one. Probably because of trademark things, our tagline historically was something one of our founders, Tink Taylor, came up with, which was, we're NASA technology with a Fisher-Price front end. Obviously, NASA and Fisher-Price trademarks Fisher-Price. We're not allowed to use that, really. But it is our ethos. And what it means is, you've got all the features and functionality underneath the bonnet that you would need, but we make it really quick for marketers to deploy that technology. It's one thing to be easy, and we're obviously that as well, but I like to think of it as, a knife is a pretty easy tool to use, but if you have to chop 6 onions, you're not going to use a knife, you're going to use a food processor because it's faster and you cry less. So what we're trying to pretty much do is make marketers' lives, make their activities faster and make them cry less.
Excellent. I love that analogy with the onions, because I hate cutting onions. I think I must have extra sensitive eyes.
I've seen people actually wear like swim goggles when they cut onions.
Yeah, I've seen that. Or like people put a spoon in their mouth, and there's all sorts of tricks that I've heard. Like, yeah, they're
all stupid. Pretty much. Well, the goggles make sense, but
yeah,
kind of a moron. But
yeah. Is there anything about Dotmailer that might surprise viewers?
Our size, probably. People think of Dotmailer as the nice little company from Croydon, but we're global now. There's almost 300 of us around the world. We have offices. So our headquarters is here in London Bridge. Our tech and design center is still down in Croydon. We've got an office in Manchester, but we also have offices in New York, LA, Melbourne, Sydney, Johannesburg, and Minsk.
Wow, that's it. I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So yeah, spreading out all over the world, which, to be honest, actually makes a lot of sense, because there's not a Magento event that I've ever been to where Dotmailer haven't had a presence, which I think is awesome. How do you feel that Dotmailer fits into the wider Magento community?
I think we fit into the wider Magento ecosystem. We are the perfect marketing automation platform for the emerging e-com brand. So, brands that when they start out, they maybe have started out in, say, an Amazon marketplace or an eBay marketplace. Then they've got their Magento shop up and running, and they're kind of running those two things in parallel. And while they're doing all this, they don't have a very large customer base. They don't attract very much traffic. And they're using an email platform or a marketing automation platform that's, got a very low cost to entry. It's, probably free. Then they get to a point where they want to get a little bit more serious about it. Either they've gotten enough customers that suddenly free is no longer free and can get quite expensive, or they want to avail themselves of one of our other services. So our template design and build services, our consulting services, our account management services, any of those kinds of things. So we're that good next step.
In terms of Meet Magento UK, what do you think are the best reasons to sponsor this event?
Well, as you said, we tend to turn up at all Magento events because they're fun. But the best reason to sponsor is to really get in front of the Magento user base and explain what we do, explain what we have. They tend to get really excited about that. So it's a great way just to get some face time with a wide variety of people. On top of that, you get loads of partners turning up, which is great because it lets us build on existing partner relationships or find new partners that do new wonderful things that are not only good for our Magento customer base, but our non-Magento customer base as well.
How did you actually become involved with sponsoring Meet Magento UK?
We've got a very, very deep relationship with Magento. We were one of two of their launch platinum partners when they launched their platinum partner program. So we were in there with PayPal. So we worked really closely with Magento. In fact, they're running some training sessions in our office today. So, we work really, really closely with them. That was kind of the driver behind us opening our LA office, to be fair, was to be closer to Magento and closer to a lot of the SIs that are based out in the LA basin.
Yeah, absolutely. And contribution days, of course, tomorrow in your Dotmailer HQ in London as well, which is really exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be going along to that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. What do you think makes the Magento community such an important part of the e-commerce industry in general?
I think there are two things that make Magento community as important and as relevant as it is. One is it's a community. It's the actual community piece. Magento developers are always willing to lend a hand, come up, share ideas, share tips and tricks. E-commerce brands, whilst they compete, they tend to be quite friendly. There's never, it's just kind of, it's going to sound really cliche, but it's kind of a big, happy family.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so I think the other piece of it is big. The community is big. So you can always find somebody who has had the same challenge that you've had and has overcome it and is willing to help you out by giving you some advice on whether that be technical, whether it be a marketing challenge, whether it be a delivery challenge, a sourcing challenge, whatever it is. There's somebody that's had the same challenge you have and has overcome it and is willing to help you overcome your problem as well.
Definitely. I think that willingness to help each other, no matter what the situation or our situation, I think is it's a key part of the Magento community's ethos itself, actually. What do you think has been the biggest leap forward in the e-commerce industry so far?
So I recently did a presentation where I was talking about how a lot of the things that we think are cutting edge and new aren't. So I'm going to say the biggest leap forward in the e-commerce industry happened in the mid-1800s with the advent of the Sears and Roebuck catalog in America, the advent of mail order.
Yeah.
Because it set out a framework for what we're trying to do now, right? What does e-commerce do? E-commerce allows us as retailers to deliver a wider variety of goods to a much wider audience, regardless of where they happen to be. We're not tied to a physical location, which has a catchment area of pretty much as far as anybody's willing to travel to there. It means we can deliver anything, anywhere. And when I was doing this presentation and finding some resources, I found a page from the Sears catalog, and they were talking. It was so. For those who don't know, you could literally think of the Argos catalog, right? That's kind of the closest equivalent in the UK. And back in the and early 1900s, you could buy anything from Sears, from buggies and when I say buggies, I mean like horse-drawn buggies.
Yeah.
Stoves, to wedding dresses, to toys, houses, everything. And on their stoves page, there are these big cast iron stoves, and they offered free delivery on any stove on that page. So, a lot of the stuff that we're like, ooh, this is cutting edge, it isn't. So I'd say the biggest leap in e-com happened almost 200 years ago.
Yeah. I think it's funny how history is repeating itself, just with slightly more modern technology. And that's really the only change. The actual idea behind it all is the same.
Exactly. All we're doing is we've figured out a way to do it faster and better. We don't have to send out a catalog now. So now we can deliver the catalog online, on a phone, whatever, with an app. But at the end of the day, it's about selling products to people.
Absolutely. How do you see the e-commerce industry moving forward in the next 12 months?
Oh, that's funny. I went out for a cycle ride with a friend who's also in the industry on Saturday, and we stopped for bacon, and we were talking about this. I think in the next 12 months, maybe not 12, maybe 18 to 24, I think the biggest change in e-commerce is going to be voice.
Conversational commerce. It's getting
just the, once Alexa or whatever can understand me, Alexa can't deal with my accent, apparently. Everybody else in my house can make Alexa work. Me, not so much.
Giving you the cold shoulder.
Exactly. It's going to be, the stat I saw is something like in the next 2 to 3 years, 40% of all web searches will be done without a device.
Wow.
Will be done using voice. So being able to, starting to think about how do you restructure your product catalog for voice. We've spent so much time structuring our product catalogs around SEO and how people were searching online, but what they could type in. But, now if you're, say, a fashion brand and, you've got a blue shirt and you've got 3 different shades of blue and, on your website, you've got navy and cobalt and sky. But am I going to say, oh, Alexa, I'd like to buy a cobalt shirt?
No.
Unlikely. So we're going to have to come up with a different way to have products, to describe products to people in order to get them to make that voice search a bit more natural.
And would you say that that's one of the upcoming changes in e-commerce that you're most excited about?
Yeah, the thing I'm most excited about is, now we've gotten past this whole, we got past GDPR, but kind of the panic around GDPR has ended. I'm kind of excited about getting back to the core business of being a marketer, which is, getting the message to the right person at the right time. And now we have to start thinking about doing that in the right context. So we have to start thinking about, what channel on which channel are we delivering those messages? And I think that's the bit that's got me the most excited, because that's a really interesting challenge. It's one thing if you're, say, a travel brand and you know that your customer is traveling today and is likely to be in the airport, so that you can deliver the message by SMS or through your app or whatever. That's pretty straightforward. But when you are delivering messages to people, all the time and trying to keep up with what channel is the most appropriate contextually for them at that moment, that's a really unique challenge, and it's going to be a really exciting one to crack.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. And to be honest, I really love conversations like this because I get new ideas all the time. Like you taking it back to 200 years ago when the start of e-commerce, when we didn't really realize that was what it was. So we're obviously going to have a lot more of these conversations at the event this week. Why do you feel attending Meet Magento UK is a good idea?
I think you just hit the nail on the head, really. It's about the opportunity to share ideas, to have conversations. And sure, it's a bit of an opportunity for Magento to keep us apprised of what's coming up and what's going on within the ecosystem. Obviously, they've had some big news, so I'm sure that'll be all the talk. How does that play out? What's that going to look like going forward? But, it's also fun just to be standing around those little tables in the networking area, during the coffee break, and you walk up to somebody you've never met before, and what do you do? And you start chit-chatting, and it could be a tech partner, it could be an e-com brand, it could be whoever, and you just get to meet them, and all of a sudden you're having a really fascinating conversation, and they say, right, it's time to go back into the keynote. And you're like, I don't really want to go back into the keynote. I'm having too much fun talking to this person.
Yeah, this person is my keynote.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. And what is it that you're most looking forward to about the event?
My expectation is that there it's still too early to talk about the acquisition and for them to really know anything. So I don't expect to get any great grand insight, but it'll be interesting to see how the Magento folks, manage that expectation with a lot of other people who could be a little worried about the future holds.
Absolutely, it's a big change, but I think it'll be a positive one.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Definitely. Well, that's all my questions, Skip. Thank you very, very much for answering all of them. Have you got any closing remarks that you'd like to finish with?
No, Rebecca, just thanks for having me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and at Magento later in the week.
Absolutely, me too. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything. And we'll see you at the event.